that sounds kind of weird, but it's kind of like looking at a ladder laying on the ground. If I had come in the wrong rung of the ladder, I would end up coming too early or I would come too late. So I had to come and select my exact right time that I was supposed to wake up. And I was guided for that process. But as I was doing that, I could see my curiosity. I could see what was right in front of us, like what's coming. But I also could see in the far distant past. And what's weird is you'd think that ladder is this big, long thing that has an ancient past and a long, distant future. But no, it's actually kind of like a ring. And if you look in our past far enough, you actually will see our future. And if you look in our future far enough, you will actually see our past. And that everything is cyclical, everything, not just our solar system, but everything is cyclical. And so it goes through cycles. And I got to see some really neat stuff. One of the things I did see was this tablet thing that essentially happens in the future sometime, but it's not like it looks like an iPad, but it's see-through. The whole thing's see-through, and it's somewhat multidimensional because you can essentially link it or sync it into a specific time, and I mean any time. Dinosaurs, uh, Lincoln's, inaugural speech, or anywhere, any rung of time that you want to go to, you amplify this tablet to that space, and then once you have it, you can be watching live what's happening in that time. And if you want to be there, virtually, you can take these tablets and actually somehow put them over your head, and then you are actually in that space. As far as your consciousness goes to that space. But definitely in the near future, we get to live as long as we want to live. Instead of living as long as our bodies last, we live as long as we want to live. And in fact, there's a big transition coming up, and not too distant future, where we shift our bodies to the eternal bodies, or the body that lasts as long as we want.
Oh, wow. Like
And
how many years are we speaking about?
not too far, actually. I think that it's definitely going to happen in my lifetime. I feel like the people that I was seeing in that space are remnant of the people today. So I feel that the part of the thing about what's happening in front of us in our future, yeah, there's some big changes, and a lot of people would say, they're very scary, and yes, they're scary, but at the same right, every single change that happens, it moves us down the road towards a greater place. So we have to see these big things as they happen, all of these big events that are coming down in the future, which there's some very major changes coming to the entire world in the near future. And we have to see them as these great things because they move us closer and closer to this eternal future, this future where Earth and Mother Earth and humanity, they work together in accordance with each other. And not just that, but we start working with our space ancestors, like, what we would perceive as aliens, but to what I can see, they're just native to Earth. They're native to Earth older than we are by millions of years. Like, they were here millions of years before us. So it's more of about cohesion, or coming together, and having a unified consciousness, a unified purpose, and unified duties, that where we lift each other up, we build each other, and we shift out of the consuming or consumption phase of humanity. And right now, we are at the pinnacle of consumption as a society. If you look at your average day, you're consuming for about 99% of your day. You're consuming the entertainment, you're consuming air and breath, obviously, consuming water and drinks, consuming foods, but you're not building or creating. And as we get closer towards that future space, we get to actually build We get to create. And some of us get to experience that if we do art, we do singing, we do songwriting. We get to learn what that is to create. But it gets to a point where most of the earth shifts into that creation phase. And in that creation phase, this earth just changes to such an amazing place. And to such an amazing place that the entire planet lifts to a different place.
Wow. What are some of the events that will happen?
There's some solar waves that are very, very clear. We've essentially started the first wave, and there's going to be 3 major waves. But these waves, they start out real easy, and they get heavier and then heavier. The first, it lasts for about a year, and it started on April 8th this year. And so we're seeing a lot of that solar energy coming and hitting the earth that we haven't seen in a long time. It is a normal cycle that the earth has been through before, but each one of these waves that hits the earth, it's upgrading us. It's upgrading all life on the planet. At a micro level, though, at a level where it would be hard for us to detect unless we were looking at our old selves from a year ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, because I'm curious, like, how do I notice that there's a change, like me personally and everybody?
Well, notice this. I think everybody in your audience can ask themselves this. Why is it this year, for the first time ever, everything that used to make you happy doesn't work anymore? Ask yourself that. It's because we're moving out of that phase. Consumption does not give us satisfaction or happiness anymore. So we've got to learn to create. And we're just shifting into the baby steps of learning how to create now. And as AI and as robotics take over a lot of the physical jobs that humankind used to do, we're going to become either philosophers or addicts. That's it. We're going to be creators, or we're going to be addicted consumers. And we get to choose which route we go. And if you can't put your phone down for a day, then you're shifting towards the consumption. And that's a rough road. But some of the other big things is we've got 2 more waves, some major waves of sun. One of them is just our sun. The other is our sun synchronizing with a pulsar. And when this happens, it creates a vast upgrade psychologically and spiritually for all of us. And some of us won't make it through that one, but it's not a bad thing. It just means that we get to cross over into the heavenly realm, into the most amazing space that I've ever experienced or ever will experience. So it's not a scary thing at all. I'm excited to be on either side of that line. But when after that 3rd wave happens, then we actually start seeing some shaking on the whole planet. The whole planet changes its tectonics. Where there's oceans, sometimes there's going to be some lands. And sometimes where there's lands, there's going to be some oceans. So there's going to be some major shifting. And amongst all of that, there is a mega volcano that goes off. And when it does, it shifts the entire planet.
Oh, wow.
With the movement of that mega volcano.
In our lifetime?
In our lifetime.
Oh, wow. You were speaking about extraterrestrials or star seeds or our friends in the other galaxies, or maybe this galaxy. And you mentioned they are natives of this earth. Are they connected to, well, first, the pyramids and the Egyptian times? Were they the ones building them?
So I don't this is one thing that a lot of people love to argue about, is who built the pyramids. I'll tell you, who we think built them is not who built them. I'll tell you that. I know that for a fact. Who we've always said built them is not who built them. And in fact, I would say the pyramids predate much earlier than what we have ever recognized publicly. And I would also argue that most scientists that have studied it physically themselves and carbon dated some of the stones there, they would tend to agree with that same thing. And even if you go off of just strictly the erosion of the Sphinx, to say that it's as new as we say it is completely asinine. You have to you have to ignore huge periods of time where the Egyptian area didn't have any water, and you have to ignore anciently when it did have water, to look at the erosion just on the Sphinx and try to explain it as this little micro period that it could have happened. But there's many fossilized man-made materials all over the world that have been found. There's been screws that have found that are millions of years old. There's been a hammer found in stone that was carbon dated over I think 350 million years old. Like the life on Earth far extends past what our modern era would ever let you believe. And as you get into understanding why, you have to look at why we call history his story. Is because whoever's telling the story, that's why we don't know any of those things. Yeah. But it's not a conspiracy thing. It's just this. It's just that it's important that there's a narrative given so the followers know what to do. And we've been followers for too long. And as a species, we're done being followers. We're waking up to our own greatness. We are.
Wow, there are tons of 1,000 questions in my mind right now. I do want to just drop in.
One thing people need to understand is when you get into physics and you get into the quantum realm and into the quantum fabric of life, that the keys to the universe are inside of us. That the universe is just you inversed. It is just you inside out. And that matches with the ancient teachings, as above, so below.
Right. I've actually had an experience of that. I've actually